Brian Krzanich, Chief Operating Officer here at Intel. You're known as BK around here.
That's right.
Even though I can take a stab at your last name. What is the hardest job of all the hard jobs of keeping the trains running on time at Intel?
You know, I think it's the daily shipments. We ship roughly about 1 million units a day. And you think about all the customers and all the places in the world that has to go to and the complexity of this technology. And you're trying to do that 1 million times a day. 1 million's a lot, but when you try and do 1 million every day, that gets to be a lot. And
I was up at your fab up in Oregon, and I was really struck by the volume of it, by the size. I know these are big, giant buildings, but I guess in my mind, I always imagined it was just like a big, giant stamp that stamps a single wafer and then moves on to the next one. But the volume of the process and the successful yields that you have, in other words, the chips that aren't screwed up, is got to be the biggest challenge there in terms of quantity.
Yeah, I mean, there's about 500 steps that goes into making any wafer or any product, and you're right. Yield is one of the most important things we focus on. It really helps us deliver product every day. It drives our costs down. It's really a differentiator in this industry.
Well, I think that people, from the outside, don't really understand how important yield is in terms of, a screwed up chip is part of the process of making chips, but you don't want to have too many. When you get into a new process, what's the acceptable worst yield you're willing to sort of roll out with?
Yeah, I can't give you the exact percentages. That's one of those inside secrets. Okay. But we spend a lot.
Well, we are inside.
Yeah, that's true. But we spend a lot of time really focusing on, each time you bring a new technology together, you're really looking at everything is smaller. And think about, as things get smaller, the things that can kill it, that will ruin that image, can go smaller, and they're more important. And so smaller and smaller means smaller and smaller things become important, and we have to go manage those things. And that's really what we focus on as we bring a new technology.
Is there any pace of innovation that's too fast?
Well,
the answer might be no. I don't know the answer.
I guess it depends on how you answer it. If you take a look at it, we bring technologies together every 2 years and bring them out. We bring new products roughly every year. We think that's about as fast as the industry and the consumer and everybody can absorb these things. And so we think that's about right. But
am I right to look at the decoupling of the sort of Wintel? There's still obviously a very important partnership, Microsoft and Intel's next great PC chip. But it seems that there's so many other things happening in the world of technology and semiconductor design that there isn't the sort of every other year massive step change that used to be in technology even 10 years ago.
Well, no, I'm not so sure about that. If you take a look at it, every year we're introducing a new technology. We introduced 22 nanometer technology this year. 2 years from now, we'll introduce 14 nanometer technology. There will be a series of products that are introduced that will bring lots of new innovations. Paul talked about earlier. We'll bring, touch to PCs. We'll bring perceptual computing. Right. All of those things. All of those take technology, and all of those technologies will be generating over the next couple of years.
But you still see those as very much coupled with the Windows evolutions in the same sort of time frame?
Well, Windows is an important part of it. It's not the only thing that adds to it, but you really have to bring the silicon, the software, and the hardware all together into one finished product. And so it's an important part.
Intel has tended to be at least one step ahead of its competitors for most of the last, let's call it 20 years, picking that randomly. But it seems that in this new sort of three-dimensional chip design in the 14 nanometer that you might be more ahead of competitors. How far ahead of competitors do you think you're? I don't know how to evaluate this, but you probably do.
Yeah, well, we've been looking at it. If you look at the last really new innovation we brought out, which was at 45 nanometers, it took competitors about 3 to 3.5 years to catch up. This new technology, as you said, the three-dimensional transistor, we don't know, right? We think it'll be at least that long, maybe longer this time for them to be able to produce. They've kind of said it's about 3 or 4 years. We'll see. I mean, we haven't.
So let's take that. Does a longer time frame then give you, what extra advantage does that give you?
Each one of these technologies brings a couple of things. They bring usually a performance, so you can add more features, more capability to your computing. They lower power. And they make things smaller, so you can put more transistors in the same space. So all of those bring a combination of performance, power, and cost advantage to Intel.
So last thing, as you're in a important role of leadership here, what do you think is that we're going to talk about Intel culture in just a little bit in the show, and I wonder what you think of when you think of the Intel culture, the thing that's unique about Intel in the Valley, that you really want to make sure continues at Intel?
You know, I think what separates Intel from many companies that I interface with is we do what we say. When we say we're going to go deliver a product, when we say we're going to deliver a technology, it's there, and it can be usually counted on with a high confidence.
Keeping your word, that's a good thing.
Yeah.